Hello everyone, just a quick heads up. This is a second part to a narration I did previously. If you haven't seen the first part, there'll be a link in the description to it if you guys want to check it out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Fucking college kids, what does the sign at the fence say? No entry. What does this here say?
He pointed at the text sprayed across the main door.
No fucking entry. You think we just put these up because we don't have anything better to do? Like you really have nothing else to do but to snoop around things you have no business in. Now look what happened. Look what you did. What your awesome idea brought you.
Miraz yelled at me after I finished explaining what happened. First thing he did when he arrived was to check the service tunnel and make sure it's closed. He didn't even talk to me, he just ran there and made sure it's sealed and locked. He was an average-looking guy, probably in his mid-50s, but I think people would say he looked older than he really was. What is this place?
You have no idea.
What are you doing?
I'm going to save your friend, and you're coming with me. You will do everything exactly as I say, and nothing else. Stay quiet. Try not to exhaust yourself. The air is not circulating, and you'll burn all the oxygen and suffocate. You will stay tethered to me by this line.
He lifted what looked like a small retractable winch.
When I turn off my light, you will do the same immediately, and you won't move.
He continued and pulled out a shotgun from the car's trunk. Are these gonna help?
To an extent, but don't use it unless I tell you to,
he said as he handed me a pistol.
Last thing, do you know how ozone smells?
He asked and I nodded.
Good. If you smell ozone, run.
I started considering whether this was a good idea when he chained and locked up the door from the inside with a massive padlock.
This is the only way we can keep them from getting out,
he said when he noticed me watching him. Hell, of course this was a bad idea. Worst one I've ever had, so let me rephrase. I was contemplating whether I would ever see that padlock open ever again. Am I gonna get a key?
Sorry, I just have the one. But don't worry, I'm right here,
he said, sliding his hand across the line that we were connected through. The tether reeled back and forth between us as we walked through the service tunnel. It gave me some sense of security. I could be sure not to get lost and separated from the only other person nearby. It created a sort of weird rhythm with the diesel fuel that sloshed around in the large canisters we carried. Our first stop would be the generator room on the other side of the main entry hall. The generator rattled and hummed as it slowly started spinning up.
Did you see it?
What?
We have some time for talking until it turns on. Did you get a look at what took your friend when it happened?
No. What is this place? He stared into the air, sighed, and explained.
It was originally a military stockpile in the 50s. In the late 70s, it was repurposed into a research site. Anything that was too crazy for the public to know about, they've done it here. And it was some fucked up stuff sometimes, let me tell you. Then, they had this project about teleportation. They even rebuilt half the facility to house it. And that is when it all went to shit.
How do you know all this?
I used to work here.
So what are these things?
They are... I don't know. I was just an assistant.
Is there someone who knows?
Not anymore. Everyone who knew... Well, let's just say they never left this place.
And how did you get out? The engine clutch engaged with a click, and the generator finally came to life.
I didn't. I took a sick day when it happened.
The lights turned on for a brief moment and then shut down again as a circuit breaker popped.
That's okay. We can't spare the power for the lights. We'll need it someplace else. You'll see.
Whatever happened here, whatever killed all the people down here, and God knows how it was all connected with the Chernobyl disaster. He wasn't there. He took a sick day. He took a fucking sick day.
Come on, kid. Let's go.
We were at the lab security checkpoint that me and Alex closed during our escape.
Remember, stay quiet as you can now.
Miraz told me as we slowly opened the blast door. To our surprise, light blinded us immediately. Something shining right at us. I took a step back while my eyes adjusted to the light, and then I finally saw the source of the light. Alexi's flashlight. I went to pick it up, but Miraz quickly stopped me with his arm and pointed to the blackness of the corridor in front of us. For a moment we stood there, silent, and then I thought I heard something in the distance. Miraz immediately turned off his headlamp and gestured to me to do the same while he went crouch in the corner. I followed and turned off my light too, but we were still lit up. Alex's light was still on, illuminating the room. Miraz quietly cursed and quickly went to grab the flashlight, and then it was dark. Completely pitch black dark. People say that when you're under stress and you lose one of your senses, the other one's heightened to compensate. It's true. Or maybe it was just getting closer. It doesn't matter. I heard something drop to the ground with a muffled splat. Then a few irregular footsteps. Not like footsteps of someone walking with a pair of shoes. It was like someone walking barefoot. Flesh on concrete. And they were getting closer. I instinctively grabbed the gun Miraz gave me, hoping I wouldn't need to use it. It was now so close that I could hear a slow, raspy breathing. I think I even felt a cold breeze on my face. Inhale and exhale, in and out. I don't want to think about how close it was. Then something slammed into a wall the way we came from, with a crash and the sound of glass and plastic breaking. Whatever thing was there with us turned and quickly followed it. I thought it was gone, and I'm safe. Out of nowhere, suddenly, a hand brushed against me. I almost jumped and screamed, but the hand quickly moved and grabbed my mouth, preventing me from making a sound. Another grabbed my gun.
It's me. Follow me, slowly.
We entered a room. On the side, I heard a door close silently. We waited for a while, and then we turned our lights back on. Fuck, don't ever do that again, I told him, but he wasn't listening. He was looking at droplets of a thick, black fluid on the floor and on the other side of the room. What? What is that?
Blood. At least it was once.
Miraz answered and followed the trail. We traced it across a few rooms until we stopped in a large chemical lab. There was something on the ground. In a puddle of the black fluid. It was Alex's knife. There was some red liquid too. I could tell what it was without a doubt. Fresh blood. A trail of a few droplets went in the opposite direction of the black fluid. Look, he must have gotten away.
I doubt that. If you want to find him, you'll have to go to level -4.
He just glanced at the knife and then acted like he didn't see anything. Look, this is his knife. They must have fought here and then he went that way. I pointed in the direction where the blood trail went. He must be hurt.
That's one more reason for us not to waste time. Let's go.
He stepped off back into the central corridor. I wanted to stay and search for Alex, but the tether that connected us wouldn't allow that. So I obliged and followed, initially. Miraz, please tell me what's going on. How do you know that he's not here?
Because I know. Just shut up. We don't have time to argue.
We weren't whispering anymore. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me why you're so sure.
Because he's dead.
What? But you said...
Come on, let's go. This is not a place where we want to stay. We have to go down to level -4.
Miraz cut me off. No. I trusted him at first because he was the only one who could help me and help Alex. That was the only thing I focused my mind on. Saving Alex. Only now I realized what I had gotten into. How blind and how stupid I was. He wasn't just an assistant as he claimed, and we weren't here to save Alex. I started unbuckling my end of the tether.
What the fuck are you doing?
I'm getting out of here. Give me the key to the padlock.
No, I can't do that.
I had no choice. I raised my gun at him. Give me the key.
You really think I would give you a working gun? You're not going anywhere. Let's say we don't share the same goals anymore. But have no doubt, they are coming here. But not with guns, with concrete. They are going to seal this place up for good, and we have to be quick if we want to be out by the time that happens.
Why can't you just please let me leave now?
Because it's a two-man job. There are things much more important than you, me, or your friend.
I can deny that. Maybe he was right, but I can do this, and I didn't understand anything. Who are you? I asked him, returning his gaze, but then I looked away. Something caught my attention. Movement behind Miraz. It was a creature, crawling across the ceiling towards us. Its body vaguely looked like a human, but its skin was pale and stretched tightly over its thin bones. Its veins were visible through the skin, filled with the same black fluid we found earlier. It had no hair and only holes where its nose and ears used to be. Its eyes were bloodshot, locked in a blank stare. We escaped it before, but our argument brought it back. It was too late to run now. Miraz noticed my stare, but he wasn't fast enough. The creature lunged at him. At the same time, he turned around and fired a shot, but missed, and the thing knocked him to the ground. That shot was deafening in such a tight space. I heard only ringing in my ears. My eyes were slightly blinded by the muzzle flash. In the confusion, I tried to run, but I forgot I was still tethered to Miraz. After the line was completely reeled out, it jammed, stopping me right in my track and sending me falling to the ground. I looked back and saw that the creature was now looking at me. Miraz was lying there on the ground. I must have pulled it off him by yanking on the tether, and now it would come to make sure it wouldn't happen again. I finally managed to disconnect the tether and threw the useless pistol at the creature, hitting its head. It briefly stumbled and I ran to the only place that quickly came to my mind. I barricaded myself in a storage room adjacent to the large chem lab, blocked the door with a shelf. The creature spent a minute trying to get in, but then gave up and left, presumably to finish off Miraz. And I stayed there, just sitting in the corner, too scared to do anything. I don't know how much time had passed, but It was starting to get hard to breathe. For a time, I thought I would just stay there and end it all, peacefully, instead of a violent death that was likely waiting for me on the other side. But then I heard a voice call my name. Alex's voice. Alex, is that you?
Oh, thank God. I thought I would die here. You came back.
I went to open the door, but then changed my mind. How did you find me?
I was hiding too, but then I heard gunshots and I came here to look. Dimitri, please come out. We have to get out of here.
I sat down. Maybe it was really him, but what if it wasn't? I didn't want to find out. No. He said you were dead, and I saw blood too. No, it isn't you. It can't be.
What? What are you talking about, Dimitri? One of those things got me pretty good, but I'm alive. Dimitri, just please come out and let's get out of here.
I've decided I wouldn't open the door. But then I changed my mind once again after what he said.
Dimitri, do you remember the cherry tree? I knew you would come back.
We used to play at this huge cherry tree when we were kids. We used to climb it all of the time, but one day, I had this idea to make a bet. Whoever gets the highest wins. I almost got to the top, but then I realized how bad an idea this was. The branches under me were too thin, and I knew they could break under my weight any time. But Alex didn't want to lose. He tried to climb even higher than me, and then the twig he was standing on broke and he fell. Luckily, he landed on a pile of fallen leaves and only broke his leg. He could have killed himself if he fell on solid ground, and it was my fault. I almost got him killed because of a stupid bet. We decided not to tell anyone how it happened because we were both afraid of getting into trouble, but I felt guilty for it for the rest of my life. There was no way how he could know about the cherry tree if it wasn't him. I opened the door and there he was. He looked terrible. Bruises and scrapes all over. And he had a blood-stained, torn piece of shirt wrapped around his left hand. Are you okay?
I've been better. Let's just get out of here.
That's not gonna be easy. I told him what happened until now and that the door was locked. Only Moraz had the key and he was either dead or gone.
There were some tools and supplies up there, right? Maybe we can find something to cut the chain.
Alex said, and we decided to try it. It was better than searching for Moraz's key after all. We found his shotgun stained with blood, both his and the creature's, and immediately felt safer. We also picked up our packs that we dropped earlier. Luckily, all of our gear was still there. We carefully walked back to the main hall, but I felt something was watching us all along. We saw some few old saws and files next to the main door. We grabbed all we could, but we weren't alone. The inhabitants finally decided to make their move. One of the thin creatures crawled out of the stairwell. I aimed and fired. It fell down from the ceiling, twitching like a dying insect. But it didn't matter because it wasn't alone. Another one crawled out, then another and another. We ran into the air pump room and blocked the door by jamming a large saw between the handles. We worked quick because we knew it was only a matter of time until they got through, or come through the vents. Alex couldn't operate the shotgun with his hurt hand, so he offered to do the cutting while I stood guard, ready to kill anything that would come out of the vents. It was working, but it was too slow. Way too slow. Alex barely got through a few millimeters when I thought that the door would break already. They were pounding on it, slamming into it, and I saw it rattle on its hinges. I thought that they would get through at any moment now. And then they stopped. I heard them run away. I coughed when a sharp odor hit my nose.
Fuck, what is that?
Ozone. Hello everyone. First of all, I'm so pissed that this ended on such a rough cliffhanger. I'm super hooked onto this story and I'm really curious as to what's going on and what these creatures really are. I have a few thoughts that I'd like to share, but before I do all of that, I'd like to give a lot of thanks to the ones that helped me with this story. Crow and Dr. Plague. I know that some of you were brought over from his community and really like his narrations, and I've seen some of your comments in the last part, and some of you didn't even notice that Dr. Plague was in that one. That's probably because of him only having one line in that story. This story, however, I know all of you instantly noticed him being here. He did a really good job with the lines, and I'm super grateful to have gotten to work with him more. The same goes for Crow. Now, with this part, he was the one with the very little lines, but I'm sure in the last part, he'll have more. And I'm super excited to hear how he voices them. These two are very talented individuals, and if you're interested in seeing more of them, you can find their links and socials in the description below. Now, onto my thoughts about this story. It really didn't seem like this part cleared up a whole lot about the creatures besides their appearance and their behavior. They act very insect-like and they crawl on the walls and the ceilings and stuff, and they also don't have nose and shit. It's very weird. They have black blood and all kinds of weird shit. I have no idea what they could be, or if my speculation was correct about the teleporter. I re-listened to my story, and I might have changed a little bit of my speculation. I'm wondering if they actually opened a portal to another dimension on accident. And maybe the portal led to these creatures and they all just swarmed in. Because it's very clear that there are multiple creatures there. It's not just one, it's not just two, it's a swarm of them. And they act like insects, so maybe they're like an insect hive mind. Maybe they're as plentiful as like an insect ant mound. You know, like how ants have so many of them. Maybe these creatures are much like them. Who knows, but hopefully we can learn more about them in the third part. The third part will come out in about 2 weeks from now. I don't know if you guys noticed. If you haven't, I upload every single Wednesday. So next week, there'll be another story coming out on Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST. And then the week after, there'll be another story on Wednesday, which will most likely be the third part of this story. I'm super excited to get it done, and I'm super excited to figure out what's actually going on in this story. Feel free to leave your speculations and your thoughts and your theories in the comments down below, and I will read and respond to every one of you guys. I'm excited to hear what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.